And welcome to the Aaron Katzman Show. I'm your host, Aaron Katzman. We speak to your luxury money and your investments. And as always, we're coming to you from the spiritual and soon to be financial capital of the world, Jerusalem, Israel. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both the podcast and to the YouTube channel. So I was reading an article about budgeting. I know I have quite the life. Hey, Katzman. Got anything, any good books you're reading right now? Well, I'm reading blogs about budgeting. And they were talking about the fact that it was a couple, they had one child and they just had another child. And the whole post was about how the budget has changed due to the second child. And the more that I was reading, the more the feeling I got was that the only thing that seemed important to them was the financial aspect and how much the children were a burden to their budget. Obviously, they had small kids, so childcare costs, groceries, stores, or Amazon or Costco, all those things, the costs went up, right? Because there's diapers and there's wipes and there's all kinds of other stuff. I was going to joke. I have a sister and she once told me, small kids, small problems, big kids, big problems. The same thing goes with expenses, right? Small kids, small expensive, big kids, big expenses. I'll tell you, I hated the blog. I hated this post. I realized it was financial and they were just showing before and after what their budgets were like pre-child and what it was like after child. And I'm sorry, you don't have children, right? Okay, so children might cost you money, okay? They might impact your vacation plans. That's not why we have children. We have children to propagate, to continue the human race. That's why. And we have families to pass on tradition, okay, and pass on the continuity of, it's about the continuity of humanity, okay? It's not that it's gonna cost me an extra $30 a month because I've gotta buy formula. It really bothered me because I've seen these blogs, people don't wanna have children because children are so expensive and it's gonna ruin their retirement plans. And they were thinking of retirement being financially independent and retiring early, right? The whole FIRE movement. Well, God forbid you should have a couple of kids because that's just going to throw it on. I might have to keep working past 40 years old, right? Because I have other expenses. My gosh. For those who are able to have children, right? There is more to, I know that we're in sort of, the I generation, the iPhones, the I this, the I that, everything's about me, right? The selfie, we're obsessed with ourselves, but maybe it's time that we stop that. Right? And we think about the bigger picture, which is the continuity of the human race. And the only way to do that is to have children. And there's such benefits of having children that are not necessarily monetary. In fact, there are not so many benefits to having children which are monetary. Okay, they cost money. What are you going to do? Right? But to be able to give life to someone else, to be able to raise them, have them go out on their own, that's how humanity continues. That's how it progresses. It doesn't progress because you saved $50 from formula, right? And you decide, well, I get an extra $50 multiplied by 12, multiplied, right, by a year. So I saved myself $600 a year in formula, and I'm compounding that at 10% over 30 years. I saved myself $30,000 to my, whatever the number is, right? And I'm not about to whip out my compound interest calculator for that, right? So what? Okay, so you willingly decided you don't want to have kids and because you want to have more money at the end. And then what? Okay, what happens then? What happens to society? What happens to progress? What happens to the continuum of society? Nothing happens. Okay, you made an extra $30,000 over your lifetime. Congratulations. Now what? Okay, so don't always view children in financial matters. And that's not to say you shouldn't budget. Right? Once you have more children, you still have to live within your means. You can't say, hey, I just had my fourth child. Now I can go into debt. It doesn't work that way. You still have to be financially responsible, but you can make it work, right? Because there's a greater goal than necessarily be able to go on a fancy Mexican vacation to Cabo San Lucas or whatever you're going to go, right? That's not maybe the most important thing. If you're going to pay for your kids' braces, or you can get them some help, some tutoring help in math, that's a lot more important than going on a fancy vacation. Ultimately, the kids just want to be together. They want time with their parents. You go to the local inn, and that could be just as good as a fancy vacation in Mazatlan. So I think that we really have to take a step back. Again, you have to budget, I'm not saying not to budget. I'm saying, though, that the focus should not be, oh my gosh, they cost so much money and I could have so much more money if I didn't have them. Wrong. It's great to have children. The more, the merrier. But you still have to be financially responsible. There's no question about it. You have to live within your means. You still have to save. You still have to plan for retirement. Okay, so it's another challenge, right? It makes life a little bit harder. But, okay, that's how it is, right? We have challenges throughout life. Everybody has their own set of challenges, and we try to meet them and move on. And if financially it's a little bit more burdensome, so be it. But there are a lot of things by having children that are a lot more important than your financial situation, ultimately, right? So you won't be super, super rich. You'll just be well off or whatever it is. You won't get out of the middle class to the upper class. Okay, so be it, right? Big deal. You're not buried with your money at the end of the day. Nobody cares when you pass away how much money you had, right? The legacy that you live, we've spoken in the past about legacy. Legacy is continued on by your children, right? It's not by the fact that you had another zero in your net worth when you passed away. This is not what it's about. And even if you have a lot of money and you can name a building, still the legacy is by, if you're able to, again, I realize that that's a touchy subject, not everybody's able to, but if you're able to have children, that's where your legacy is. That's the continuum of society, of humanity, not saving $30 a month in diapers or whatever they cost. I don't remember. It's been a while since we had kids in diapers. Okay, so what am I saying? Ultimately, in summary, I'm saying that don't look at children only as a financial expense, okay? They are expensive, but that can be worked into a budget, but you don't have to cry about it, right? That's what it's supposed to be. But there is a commandment of being fruitful and multiplying. And I don't want to get biblical, I don't want to get messianic, I don't want to get into any of those things, but that's just the way that, right, as a society, we've continued on, right? If nobody has any kids, that's it, right? That's the end of us. So we have to have kids. And kids are expensive, but you still can budget for them and realize that it's not just about you and how much money you are going to have at the end, but it's about we and us and society and community. And those are more important, right? Ultimately, those are more important. I know I'm a financial advisor and I speak all the time about your finances and your money, but sometimes that takes a back seat to the greater good, which is society and community, which are bigger than your own particular financial situation. Now, again, you've got to be responsible. You have to live within your means. You've got to save. You've got to invest, all those things. But don't look at your children as just another added expense. It just shocks me. That's what I'm doing. I'm just like venting. I'm going on and on. I might not even be making any sense, but I'm going on and on because that blog, it just bothered me. And there were so many comments. And it just like, seriously, guys, that's what we've come to. Enjoy your children, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy them. It's not always easy raising children. Sometimes they tick you off, but think of the long term. Think of the legacy, right? You've been tuning in to the Aaron Katzman Show. We speak about your life and money and your investments. If you like this content, please hit the like button below. And if you've not yet done so, please subscribe to both our YouTube channel and to the podcast. Here's to more children, okay? Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll speak to you soon.